Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dirksen once again with Ogre Battle, person of Lordly Caliber. I'm going to go ahead and do a bit of training just to get some of my guys up. I'm going to stick with some of the other guys who are carrying soldiers just because when you train soldiers, they only will level up if you have them fight regular battles. They will not progress to soldiers or Amazons if you are not fighting regular campaign enemies. If you're fighting training dummies, as I'll call them, they will not gain experience towards their level. And I'm going to leave battle animation on because I'm just going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about the game, a little bit about some of the finer details. So with the alignment system, fighting good enemies such as Templars, Freyas, Clerics. I don't think there are actually any critters besides the Platinum Dragon that will give you negative alignment. You gain negative alignment through fighting basically holy units. From fighting non-holy units such as Berserkers, Ninjas, most Sorcerers, I believe, are considered non-alignment. Black Knights, any kind of demons or undead will get you positive alignment. You'll also not gain any alignment through these training seminars. So it's purely getting level with these things. Oh, I think this guy has... Yeah, he has peons. Oh, well, I need to get the fighters up a little bit. When a fighter progresses, I think it's after, say, 10 battles or a certain amount of XP. And after the leader of the unit progresses, say, I believe it's 10. I'll have to look up on a chart, and I'll actually post the chart on there for anybody looking and getting into this game. Has an amazing amount of information on just about everything. So as I was saying, I believe it's 10 per leader to progress. And once you do that, once you've gotten 10 soldiers to either Amazons or fighters, they'll get an ability later on to change into what's called a Centurion, which is both a male-female class that lets them command larger groups. We'll see that later on. It's pretty much, I believe, through Chapter 2 you start seeing that. Yeah, Chapter 2, I believe. Once you start seeing those, I'm starting to lose track here a little bit. Once you start seeing those, you can have a Centurion, and I will get into the finer deals, but the Centurion's basically like a knight. It's I believe it's 2 attacks per any row, however, which is nice because if you want to sit him in the back and guard him with, say, a critter or a beast, it's much more preferable to do it that way. And also on the note of infantry here, the guys with the little spears, they will basically change into the gender of the leader. So if it's a male leader you have, they will change into a fighter. If it's a female, they'll turn into Amazon. There is an item that you can get once you defeat, I believe once you defeat or join the Revolutionary Army and you defeat Gonzalez there, and you go back to the castle, I think it's Alba. Once you go there, you will receive a medal that, oh no, pardon me. Right off the bat, I'll actually show you. The thing I'm talking about, the medal, reduces the amount, or increases the amount of XP each guy gets per battle. So it basically turns soldiers into, infantry into fighters and them. This thing here, right here, which I'm actually going to add to one of my guys, so I can get some female characters. The Ascent Cross basically switches the gender of a soldier when promoted. So once they are switched over, they will become a female on a male and a male on a female character. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, now that I've reminded myself, I should equip plenty of these items to my groups. Once I remember where that is. Here it is. I'm actually going to give it to Troy right off the bat, just because I know I'm going to power level him. I always put 1 power fruit on a character, just because I prefer that. I put a quick gate usually on a decent powered enemy or ally. I always keep a power fruit just in case I want to say in case I get sneak attacked, and you want to basically raise your attack power due to fatigue, which is always a great idea. I recommend almost always having at least one of these power fruits. Angel fruit becomes it revives a lot more your stamina later on. It becomes very expensive and kind of not a need to use thing. So I don't always recommend it. Later game, definitely it's a good thing to have, especially when you're doing some missions where it requires you to do something before an NPC does it. So it's really good to sort of power bomb through certain areas. I'm going to go ahead and level Dio's group. Now, yes, so with the cross and the pendant, you can really power level a guy into a centurion. It makes it very, very useful, and I recommend it, especially you want to get centurions relatively early on if you want to make some good phalanxes, or good legions, I believe they are. Now, another thing I want to talk about is, as we were talking about the alignment, I've gone and sidetracked myself. It's sort of like a little hobby of myself to see how much I can sidetrack myself in an episode. Anyway, with the alignment, there is what the whole system is called the Chaos Frame. Now, you cannot see the Chaos Frame or what you're doing to the Chaos Frame at all. It's sort of like an invisible thing, and it only appears towards the end of the game, or pretty much after you finish the game and get your ending. Chaos Frame is affected by the alignment, not so much by the alignment of individual characters or even the main characters. Your Chaos Frame starts showing physical effects later on in the storyline, depending on your actions through the storyline itself, and mostly through capturing and liberating cities. When you liberate a city, you're basically freedom. You're freeing it from oppression, and you're gaining, I think it's 1 point of good Chaos Frame, and to capture actually will reduce it by 3. So it's horribly stacked against, not horribly I should say, but definitely stacked against you, in the fact, because being good is almost always harder than being evil, because it's just so easy to give in to all that crap. Anyway, also, another thing you gotta note is if you're not protecting a stronghold and somebody comes up, they can take it over and it'll become captured, which also lowers your Chaos Frame by 3. And on that note, depending on what your Chaos Frame is, different interactions will happen during the storyline. Not huge. I mean, this is an older game, so it's not crazy on choice. But certain people won't join you towards the end, especially most of the, like Destin and Gilbert and all those guys like that, will not join you if you have a high Chaos Frame. The only other thing that significantly drops it is towards later on in the game, once you start running into underworld characters, say the satyr, the demon. You don't actually get demons, but you can get goblins and goblins, ogres, and gorgons. With the goblin, I don't believe it adds too much to your Chaos Frame, but getting, say, an ogre or a gorgon will, some people say that it's got to be at least 75% drop in your Chaos Frame. Like, literally, as soon as you accept an ogre into your team, bam, there goes your Chaos Frame. Straight down the drain. It is a bit of a pain. I mean, the ogres are absolutely badass looking, and they share the same weapon set as the Black Knights, so they could get some pretty beastly looking weapons. But other than that, it will just wreck the crap out of your Chaos Frame. So if you're trying to get a good ending, I wouldn't suggest it. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it at all. It's just a bad idea if you're trying to get a decent ending. This music's so addicting. Now I'm just wondering where I should go from here. Really, this training is a good thing to do. It's very, very important because later on, especially in some levels, you start running up against ridiculously powered groups. I guess, I think I'll talk about why I chose a ROM and the advantages to a ROM and a hard copy. Now, the thing with the ROM is I got the ROM from coolroms.com. Absolutely awesome website. The reason I chose a ROM instead of a hard copy, I once owned a hard copy, but it was stolen from me and sold for a pretty decent amount of money, I heard. Anyway, with that, the ROM has a little bit of issues on CoolROM. It has little issues with the floor transitions, as I'm sure you've probably already seen. There is no issues with the music. I have not had it crash. I've played it from 100% to the end and never had any game failure issues. It's quite surprising considering how rare this game is and how few people have played this. And how well, I didn't think it would be all that well put on the internet, to tell you the truth. Like, when I actually was playing through it, I crossed my fingers every 5 minutes to pray that it wouldn't crash on me. Let's go with Adam. So with the ROM, there is a nice little trick to it, of course, saving state and stuff like that. You can save at any point in time, which is nice. With a hard copy, you only get 2 saves, and the only time you can save... Like, save is once you're done missions. Once you're at the beginning of a mission, you can save and then go on to the next mission. Or you can save in-game, which is a save and quit. But if you say you die or lose a certain person, you'll have to go back to the very beginning. And some of these can take an hour to 2 hours to do, depending on what game speed you want to play it on and if you want the battle animations. With that note... I'm starting to get ahead of myself here. I haven't really figured out what else I want to say. With that note, also a bonus to it is you can add cheats. I'm not playing with any cheats. I am going to use one, however, which is going to be the multiple item spawn. I'm not going to use it for money. The only thing I want to touch with it is alignment boost items. I don't want to do any stat boosts, any level boosts, get any extra money. All that I want to keep alone, but the items that change your alignment, I do, because I have certain friends who want to be certain characters, and some of them can be quite difficult to get a hold of through regular means. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just for their sake. And it might help me a little bit with the Chaos Frame. And on that note, also the saving state, like if you're capturing wild critters, when you go to capture them, it will say you can persuade them, and there's like, depending on a whole random amount of circumstances, they cannot be persuaded and then just leave. I am going to say that right now, that I have used that. I have saved state until they've gone to join my alliance. Just to get a couple dragons, you know, here and there. Golems are pretty easy to get a hold of. They're pretty powerful. But, yeah, so that is nice. And besides that, the audio is fine. Gameplay is fine. It doesn't lag. It doesn't have any issues. So really, it's pretty even with the hard copy. I mean, the hard copy, you get to play it on whatever system you have, high definition, stuff like that, if you want your big sound system. This game, when I played it on the hard copy, I had it in a sound system. The fucking music is phenomenal in this game. On the sound effects, rock. And other than that, the hard copy is a pain in the butt to find. It's usually running for about $89. It's the lowest I've ever seen it on frickin' on eBay. Pawn shops don't even touch it with a 10-foot pole. I found one out here, and they're wanting about $140 for it, and I was like, oh, that just hurts. That's like, oh man, it's gonna take a chunk out of getting my rifle. Anyway, on that note, I prefer the ROM. As you can see right now, the only issue I have with it is the floor transition, and really, with how many freaking battles you're going to have, it really doesn't matter all that much, because it's just going to be battles and battles and battles. The only real important thing you see is the figures, really. But the one thing that does annoy me is if you're getting into like a scenery to like some of the main storyline, the floor transitions can go nuts. You're like, where the hell am I? I'm in a forest, I'm in a castle, or what? But towards the end of this ROM, it really doesn't show up much, and it's like a 1 in 15% chance of happening. So it really doesn't bother me all that much. And really, on the fact that getting a hard copy is such a pain in the butt. If you really want to try this game, by all means, definitely pick up the ROM. If you love it, I would suggest finding a hard copy. When I get some funds that I can throw around, I am definitely picking up a hard copy of this. And my dragon just died, you bastard. I love it, my wizard's hitting like 1. Anyway, so yeah, on that note, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I've been talking for quite a bit. I just wanted to fill everybody in a bit more on the game and a bit more about the ROM and everything like that, and just hope to give you guys some suggestions. So thank you all for watching once again. And also, I had a YouTuber make a nice point out to me that my audio was definitely a lot higher than my actual voice. This game only has really one option to the sound, which is the beginning, and that's sound settings is stereo mono. So I had to actually get into the Project 64, the emulator, and actually figure out how to change the volume. And I literally am going like, I think I'm at like 1.2 out of 100%. Like, I literally had to tone this down so much. So thank you very much to him for shouting that out to me. I definitely want to make this as easy for everybody to hear as possible. I do game a lot at night, so I have to keep it down quite a bit just so I don't keep the other attendants awake. So, but thank you very much for pointing that out, and I hope you, ladies and gentlemen, have yourself a nice day and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much, and enjoy.